my gosh, I can't even believe I'm about to talk about this right now. Why do I feel nervous? Anyway, yo, what's poppin'? What a beautiful day is to be alive. Well, not really a beautiful day. It's a very sad day because Jesy has announced this week that she is leaving Little Mix, which, you know what, so I feel like I've literally been fighting back tears for the past 2 days. Like, I'm a grown man, but just want to let everyone know that like this video isn't gonna mainly be about Jesy. I was always planning to film this video this week, so it's kind of weird that she announced this week that she's leaving when I'm planning to film this video. Genuinely, like, I'm such a big fan of Little Mix. Since they were on the X Factor, I literally used to vote for them every single week. I've literally watched every music video, I've watched every interview, every live performance. I've proper followed their journey. Little Mix are definitely like one of my favorite all-time girl groups. They're so talented, they're so entertaining, their interviews. I actually have met the girls like quite a few times. I've hung out with them. Back in the day when I was in my previous group, which is what I'm talking about in this video, we supported them a lot for a lot of their shows. And honestly, like, they are the nicest girls ever. Jesy was so nice. Like, when we used to hang out with her, she was so fun and just such a fun person to hang around. When she first put out that documentary, everything that she was going through, and a lot of the stuff that she was talking about in that documentary was like around the time when we used to do a lot of shows with them. And I never, ever would have known that she was going through that stuff. But you know, actually, what's really weird? I actually do remember one time, I don't even know if I should or shouldn't talk about this, whatever, but when we was out with her one time before, there was paparazzi. We were at a club, and when we were leaving the club to go somewhere else, and I literally specifically remember this pap was like shouting like the most cruel things to her, like was saying stuff like fat cow and like look at the camera and all of this sort of stuff, and I was like, how dare he be shouting that sort of stuff to her? But I just remember thinking that maybe all paps just say horrible things, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, moving on to what I actually was going to talk about in this video. I've got a few comments and been getting like quite a lot of messages recently with people requesting for me to talk about my X Factor experience and what it was like to be on the show, like the good, the bad, and what it was like to be in a boy band. I was in a group called Kingsland. I was in that group from 18 to 20. I left just before I turned 21. It happened such a long time ago now. It was literally like, what, 6 years ago. I'm going to talk about my own personal experience and the way I felt and what pushed me to wanting to leave the group. It's obviously sad when you find out that someone's leaving, but then from my own experience of actually being in a group and like being in the industry, what people see on the outside isn't what actually is going on in the group. But before I go any further, make sure you like, comment and subscribe for more videos. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday. So comment below any types of videos or things that you would want me to talk about. I need some ideas, guys. And make sure you turn on my post notifications so that you know when I post. So I'm gonna be honest, I went through a lot being in the group mentally. We were a group and we already kind of like started experiencing success and having a lot of stuff happen for us before we were on X Factor. I'm gonna take you back, I'm gonna take you on a journey to how it even came about for me to even be in the group, how I even heard about the group, how any of that even happened. So me and my cousin formed a duo act called 11 Days. When I was like 16, we would post YouTube videos and we didn't tell anyone because we were kind of embarrassed. One of our videos actually ended up going kind of viral and we got like 250,000 views, which was a lot of views at that time. And we got contacted by record labels, like Def Jam contacted us, The Voice, X Factor. So we actually did audition for the X Factor and we didn't even get past the producer round. Like, I don't know if people know, but basically before you have like the judge audition, you actually have more auditions before even that audition. And then I joined a performing arts club where I was dancing and acting. And then again, I was still too scared to tell anyone that I sang. I was in this theatre production, I had like an acting part and it did really well, like it sold out and all that stuff. And then one day when I was in there, and she was basically like, we have like a singing program, I want you to start coming to it. So I started going to that singing program. I'm gonna get to X Factor in the group and everything. So then the lady introduced me to the producer who worked there. I introduced my cousin to him, the girl that I was singing with at the time. He proper like believed in us to the point where like he gave us half price studio time. He ended up basically putting a crew together and then we were basically like gonna be the male and female singers for the crew, and then there was like 9 rappers. We would go studio every Sunday, write songs, started doing more auditions, more gigs and all that sort of stuff. We ended up thinking, right, okay, we've improved now, we've got a lot better, maybe we could audition for X Factor again. So then we went to audition for X Factor again, and we ended up getting through all the producer rounds, we got through the live auditions, we got to boot camp, and then we ended up getting kicked off the show at boot camp. But we still were like so young, I was only 17. And then anyway, so then my uncle, he basically works in the music industry, and he basically saw how dedicated we were, and he basically said, like, if you guys really want to do this, you need to be in London. I literally went home after that and I was like, Mom, Dad, I'm moving to London. She basically said, if you want to move, you can't move until you're 18. So as soon as I turned 18, I was looking for any opportunity for me to move to London. My dad bought the Stage newspaper, a newspaper that's all about performing arts, music. It has loads of auditions and different opportunities that are going on. So I basically contacted a lot of these performing arts colleges, ended up getting auditions. Also, by the way, I at this time was living with my granddad, and basically he had cancer at the time. I was his carer. So anyway, my mum was looking for the newspaper one day, the Stage newspaper, and she was like, have you saw this audition? And it was basically like boy band audition. And I was like, no, Mum, I don't want to be in a boy band. And she's like, don't miss out on opportunities. You don't know where these opportunities are going to take you. So I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, may as well. They got back to me and was like, we'd love to invite you down for an audition. And basically the audition was weirdly in the same weekend as all the other auditions that I had booked in. Ended up going to London, doing the auditions. I got into the performing arts colleges, and I also got through the audition round, and they wanted me to come to a callback. But then also at this time, my granddad actually died. Obviously I lived with him, so I was in the house when he died, and it was really traumatic. Almost didn't go to my callback audition to be in Kingsland, because my audition was maybe literally a few days after he died. So I said to my mum, I'm not going to the audition, I can't. I'm too upset. She said to me again, you can't miss out on opportunities. Like, life still goes on. Even if people die and you lose things, you've got to go and do this audition. So I ended up going to do the audition. They had like a panel of people. There was like maybe 10 to 15 other guys that were there for the audition, which is where I actually ended up meeting the guys I ended up being in the group with. I actually sang R.I.P. by Rita Ora, dedicated to my granddad. Came back home. A week later, I found out that I got into the group. So my granddad died in August, and then obviously I ended up getting into the group in the September of 2012. Wow, 2012, that's like 8 years ago. So then from this moment on, I was going down to London every weekend, recording, rehearsing, having vocal training. They were paying for nice houses for us to live in. Going out in London, obviously I was 18. I was able to have my first partying experiences, being in London, meeting people in the industry. And one thing I will say, right, is we as a group, like Kingsland Road, we all genuinely got along. Like, I genuinely love those boys. We always had the best time. Outside of rehearsals, we would hang out, we would go out together, we would go and have drinks, we'd party together. We genuinely all got along. I love those boys, genuinely. We had such amazing experiences together. I'd say this was probably my favorite period of being in Kingsland, the first year that we were together. So then after 2 months, obviously they offered us a contract, and they said, we think that you guys genuinely have a lot of potential, and we want to sign you to a management deal, and we kind of want to make this happen. All of us excitedly, we signed the deal, we were ready to go, and then we posted our first video in November 2012, which was 2 months after we'd first met each other. And what is so crazy when I look back now is how quickly we built a fan base. Our videos on YouTube were getting a lot of views really quickly. We're still not living in London, and every time we put out a video, it was getting more and more and more and more views. And I remember one video got 75,000 views. Our followers were going up like crazy. We were genuinely building a fan base. And also, let me just say one thing as well. So behind the scenes, while we were building everything up, I've always loved songwriting and music production, right? So I always remember I would always be sending my songs to our management and saying, listen to my songs, what do you think of them? Can you help me with my songs and all that sort of stuff? He always used to not respond to my email. So anyway, we ended up booking our first meet-up show in London, and 200 girls turned up, right? All the tickets sold out. And imagine, we've only been a group for 4-5 months, and all 200 tickets sold out. It was crazy, right? And then we ended up getting on our first tour. That was our first time on the road. It was everything was just progressing and going in the right direction. Obviously after that gig, we were yo, we need to move to London. Something about this is working. We ended up living with some friends for a few weeks until we found our own place. We got little jobs on the side, and we rehearsed. Management saw our dedication, moved us into a house together, and then we were living together, and it was amazing until one day we posted a video that went absolutely viral. Maybe it's not as viral as like what you would consider now, but it got 300,000 views and our fan base went crazy. And it was a Little Mix cover, which, this is all weird. It all relates together. It was a Little Mix cover. We did hey, how you doing? And it went mad viral. And Little Mix actually reposted the video. So we got massive exposure. We started getting interviews. We started getting more performances. Our fan base was really growing. We were doing like auditions for labels. Like literally, we were doing auditions for people who would sign Sam Smith, 5 Seconds of Summer, Paloma Faith, The Vamps. We were having so many label auditions. All of them were really interested in us and they believed in us, but they always just kept saying, you need a bit more exposure, you need a bit more hype, you need a bit more like, and then we'll consider signing you. So we were going in the right direction. We'd only been a group for 6 months. When all these labels were saying you need exposure, everyone in the group and our management were kind of like, X Factor, let's do X Factor. Now, I don't have anything against the X Factor, right? I auditioned for it a few years ago when I was in my previous group, but we already had a platform, we already had a fan base, we already had people in the industry who knew who we were, and we were already like building ourselves up. We're already doing everything that the X Factor will be able to offer us. We may as well just keep doing what we're doing. When you're in a group, you always have like a majority vote. So if there's like something that you're deciding to do, you'll do show of hands, and whatever decision the most people vote for, you have to go with. So I think, as far as I remember, I think I was the only person who voted against doing the X Factor. Obviously, I was outnumbered and outvoted, so I had to do the X Factor. Obviously, ended up getting through all the rounds, got through the auditions, got through boot camp, got through judges' houses, and we got to the live shows of the X Factor in 2013. While all this is happening, I remember thinking to myself like, oh, maybe I was wrong. You know, maybe this is what we're supposed to be doing. Basically, when you're on the X Factor, you're in like a little bubble, and you don't really know anything that's going on in the outside world. Like, we were living in a mansion, and it was actually Lionel Richie's old house. We were going to events, and then this is kind of like where things started taking a turn for me. So being on the X Factor, obviously being in a group, there's always singers who are stronger than others. And I never was out here being like, I want to be the lead singer, I want to have all the main parts. Like, I never cared about that. I just wanted to be a part of something and show off my talent. That's all I wanted. So then obviously when we were on the show, I actually never ever got any lines to sing in every single performance, right? So naturally, you start thinking about it and you start thinking, am I not good enough? So obviously I'd always be like, why do I not get given any singing parts? Maybe I'm not a good singer, like maybe I'm not good enough to do this, maybe I shouldn't do this. But then when I look at like other groups that were on these TV shows, you know, One Direction, Little Mix, Fifth Harmony, even though of course there's people who are like stronger singers, they all had moments where they got to sing on the show. You know, even if it was like a little part, they still got a moment to show what they could do. And I felt like I never ever got a moment to show what I could do on the live shows. And one thing that I specifically remember, the week that we actually ended up getting eliminated, I actually got given a part to sing, right? And I was so excited. I was literally rehearsing it all week. I was going over my part all the time. I was like, oh my God, I finally get my moment to like show people what I've got, like. And then half an hour before we went to do our performance, like live on the show, someone came up to us and we was like literally backstage getting ready to go on stage, came back and said, we're changing everything. You're not singing your line anymore. You've got to learn his line. He's got to sing it. We're changing the choreography. You're not standing in the middle. Half an hour before we went on stage, they changed everything. So then obviously we go on the show, we do what we've got to do, end up getting eliminated from the show. And I can't help but always remember feeling like, I don't know if by me being able to sing, if I could have helped us get through. Does that make sense? Not that I'm saying that like, we didn't get through because I didn't sing. I think there's a lot of elements as to why we didn't get through. I'm not going to go that deep. But I never got my opportunity to show what I had, you know, and you never know if a lot of viewers would have connected to my voice or connected to me or the way that I performed and been like, you know what, I'm going to vote for them. And I never got an opportunity to put my voice or my effort into the group to help us get through. So I always had that feeling of like, I'm not good enough. I never got an opportunity to maybe like help us get through and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, after the show, it was hectic. We were doing shows here, everywhere. Sometimes we were like doing 4 shows in a day. We were traveling all over the UK and it was just a madness. We were singing all the songs that we sang on the show and I didn't have any parts to sing. So when we were backstage and all the boys were warming up, getting ready to go on stage, I would be sitting there being like, I don't have any reason to be warming up. Like, I don't have any reason to be sitting here and getting excited to go on stage because I'm not even doing anything. Like, I'm not singing anything. I don't have to take care of my voice. And I imagine this is like, we're doing shows for like a month, 2 months or something, and I'm not singing anything. I'm getting on stage and I'm just jumping around and going ooh and ah. So then at this time, obviously when we were doing shows and doing like club appearances, I then just started drinking and being like, I've got no reason to take these shows seriously. So I was drinking before I went on stage and like smoking weed and like doing a lot more partying and staying out late, turning up late to meetings with the group, like not turning up to things, and kind of just like feeling like, what is the point of me being in this group? So obviously after all of that, it was kind of like taking a toll on my brain and just thinking like, am I not good enough? Like, why is no one seeing my potential? Anyway, after all of that had kind of like died down, we kind of obviously had a meeting and was like, right, let's start working towards putting out an EP, releasing some of our own music and like going studio. Our management started booking in sessions and stuff for us to like write in sessions, but he would be booking in sessions for the other members to write songs for us. And I was never being booked in for sessions. So he would like book one person or two people or another two or another two. And I was never ever booked or involved in anything. And I'd always be asking like, can I have a session? Like, can I be booked for a writing session? Especially bearing in mind that like, that is one thing that I really love doing. And then basically, obviously when they would write the songs and they would show it to us, we would then go to studio to then record it. When you're in a group, you basically kind of like audition for your part. So each person will sing it. And then the producer will basically be like, okay, you sound best on this. You should sing that. You should sing that. It just makes it easier. You'll be like, oh, to me, like I used to sing the verse and the second verse. So then we would find our management and management would be like, no, he can't sing the first verse and the second verse. And the producer would be like, but why? Because they do that in other songs, so why can't, and he sounded the best on this bit, and he was like, no, can't do it, blah, blah, and that was it. And so basically one day I was just like, please, like, just can I have one writing session? Can you book me in for something? Like, what is the point of me being here if I'm not gonna, like, that's what I love to do. So finally, he booked a writing session, the most random session ever. We had to go into like literally the middle of nowhere. And then I got booked for another one as well. And then I think in the end, our management kind of was just like, we may as well just put all of you in the studio together. It's just easier, right? So then I think we had like a 2-week period where we were like in the studio every day. All of us were involved in the whole writing process of everything that we were working on. And again, I'd be recording parts and like a verse, a chorus, something. My voice would be on these tracks, right? And then when we basically went back and said like, this is our EP, these are the 5 songs that we want to put on the EP, and we were deciding like what we were going to do. And then this was around the time that we made like Dirty Dancer and Shoreline and Walk Away and all of those sorts of songs. We went back to show him all the songs. Lo and behold, guess what happens? My parts get taken off me and I would give an opinion. It would be like, you understand R&B music, you don't know this type of music, so basically your opinion is invalid. So I can't even give an opinion. I just felt like, what is the point of me being here? Then when we ended up like deciding that we're going to start releasing the music and filming the music video, while we're on the video shoot for our first music video, I don't even have the interest of like being on camera and trying to get like camera time, because it was just like, there's no point. Like I'm not even singing anything. Like what is the point of me even being in this video? So that's kind of like when the spiral started, and just staying out partying, just like not taking being in the group seriously. We booked our first tour. I just remember being in the tour van and just being depressed in the tour van. Like everyone would be having fun, and then I'd be in the tour van just being quiet or sleeping or like just being annoyed and just like not talking to anyone. Amazing things were happening. We released the video. It was getting good views. We premiered it on Radio 1. The song got like 1 million streams on Spotify. We were doing our own sold out tour all over the UK and Europe. We were traveling to different countries. So yeah, obviously I had a conversation with them about wanting to like leave and stuff. And then I ended up staying because my group members were like, just stay, like don't go, like we want you to stay. So I stayed for them. The longer and longer and longer that I stayed in it, it didn't get better. It didn't feel better. And then even when we like started planning an album, I think I'd already gone into enough of a bad place to just kind of like be over it. And then I think the tipping point of the whole situation, we got signed in America, right? But we didn't actually know that we were signed. So we basically were on stage and we got told on stage in front of the audience that we got signed in America. And we were all a bit like, huh? Are they even allowed to do that without us knowing that it's happening? And also at this time, I'd obviously been having meetings saying that I don't think I was happy in the group anymore. So they already knew that I wasn't very happy in the group. I had a really good relationship with the fans. So I would talk to them like friends. So one of the fans, I think I was messaging them one day talking about the fact that we got signed. I was sending messages that probably weren't the best messages to be sending and was totally out of character for me, because I was just in such a bad place mentally. I was ready to leave. I was angry at everyone. everyone. And I basically sent messages saying like, oh, this is like the worst thing ever. He's the worst manager, or like not saying very nice stuff, right? So I hold myself totally accountable to all of that. For whatever reason, he was looking through my direct messages. He saw the message, and then I basically was having like another final meeting of like where I was at mentally with my head and everything. And basically when I came to the meeting, he basically had a laptop. He showed me the laptop, the screenshot of what he'd saw. And he was like, what is this? And I was like, oh my God, I literally burst into tears. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't actually really mean it. Like, I'm just in a really bad place mentally. I'm really sorry. And he was obviously like upset, but he was also like, you know what? I still want you to stay in this group, like I can forgive you type thing. And then basically the other person who was involved was basically like, no, I don't want to work with you anymore. It's disgusting, all of this stuff, which is fair enough. But I feel like that was, for me, kind of like the tipping point. I already wasn't really happy in it. That situation of like those messages, me already mentally being in a bad place, all of that put together basically was the reason why I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. Being a part of that really took a lot of like self-confidence away from me, and it's taken me like a long time to like really rebuild up my confidence within myself. So I also can understand why Jesy would want to leave a Little Mix, because as much as you can get along with the other members, there's so many other things that go into being in a group that you wouldn't even think of. Yeah. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was insightful. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Turn on my post notifications so that you know when I post. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday. Also, make sure you go follow my socials, all in my bio down below. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter. I look forward to seeing you next video. Thank you for watching. Love you. Bye-bye.